Troopers and grinders, welcome to Trashville. Population Rizin, according to the man on my left, the Idaho skatesman. We're not getting into it right now, okay? So because we're going to get heated if we do. But also on the table will be, are the new gloves working or not? Have they redeemed themselves? Has Zachary Reese single-handedly restored them to their former glory? Or is this just a blip in the radar, and eventually it's going to be the new gloves going to Trashville? It's starting to get itself populated pretty quickly. We're going to talk about that at the end of the show. But right now, we need to talk about International Combat Sports Weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, because this weekend was packed. I had a good time for the most part. If I'm being honest, 50-50, but the 50 that was good was really fucking good, and the 50 that was bad was absolutely horrible. So, it's a nice balance. What do you think about this weekend, Idaho skatesman? Give us your thoughts.
It was busy. It was busy. But all in all, it's always good when we get some fights. Also, across all different, rule sets, especially with one.
Yes, sir.
Baby. Yeah, it was good. It was a good weekend.
I enjoyed it. Occupied a lot of my time. It was a nice distraction from all the boatloads of work that I had to do. I still somehow got done because I don't know what sleep means. I've never looked at it in the definition, in the dictionary, so I will continue to refuse. So I get best of both worlds. Lucky enough for me. MMA, I will be honest, I skipped some of it early in the weekend, but then got back into the groove of it as time went on. As soon as I saw that KSW was having like 90% decisions, I was just thinking,
wow,
I am not watching
that's
that.
rare.
That's fucking cursed. So I waited until the main event and the co-main event for that one to just see the big stars and the big presentation, because that's what KSW and Rizin are all about. And then once Cage Warriors came around, once PFL Europe came around, once LFA and 1 came around especially, then I was locked in. I was fully engaged for the rest of the weekend. Had a really damn good time, and I just hope to get the bad stuff out of my mind and the good stuff ingrained in my memories for years to come.
Speaking of KSW, we'll go over some of the regional stuff first. We'll recap 1, recap UFC, and then we'll go straight into Rizin. Hank the Tank, as always, every week he goes over some regional shows and he gives you guys some locks for some of those shows. So we're gonna go over how he did.
All right. Well, looky here. I got 6 out of my 7 locks for the weekend correct. Let's start with KSW, which you'll notice that I had everything highlighted except for the finish, because as I stated previously, KSW was just cursed with the new gloves, maybe with the lack of steroids. Maybe somebody the needle he didn't make it. The plane
JL,
got.
it's literally one red. He got one of his locks failed. So
Are you
that's
colorblind, JL? Are you
pretty dope.
actually colorblind, dude? Do you think
There's
that
literally
green?
one line is red, bro.
I didn't know that he's trolling me at this point. He is freaking
It's all
trolling.
right. It's okay.
He'd get 40,
You know
60
what's funny is when we talk to him live, he's actually a really nice, like soft-spoken guy.
I know he's pretty chill, but then once he gets into a Discord or a chat room, his little insect brain takes over.
My guy's opinionated. You gotta, just like you and just like me. So
Yeah, it's how he makes his bread. I just wish I could see his podcast for it to happen. But he leaves the world, so he's a legend.
maybe we'll have to get like a JL minute, like how John Anik and Kenny Florian have the Ray Longo minute.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to get a JL minute where we just batter him and he fucking fights for his life.
Yeah, exactly. He's Owen from Total Drama Island when he jumps into the water and there's this sharks all around him.
Let us know, JL, if you want to do the JL minute here on the skate.
We got to have a JL minute. This man became a legend through Big Red, and now he's going to be here. He's going to be a legend through Big Hank. Let's see it happen. Anyway, back to my overwhelming success in the locks world. KSW, no finishes. Well, there were a few. It was only in the main event and some other crappy fight. We had Phil DeFreeze. Oh, it's really good timing that Isha's here. This man is going to bust a nut as soon as I mention Phil DeFreeze again. Phil DeFreeze! Phil DeFreeze! Phil DeFreeze got it done. He extends his title defense streak to 10 wins. This man is at Anderson Silva level of title defenses. Incredible work. Unfortunately, he did not look at his best. If anything, he looked like Anderson Silva during his Damian Maia fight, where he was not able to get any punching combinations, was trying to pull an Eduardo Mora and just take his opponent down constantly with very little offense. And for the most part, it worked. Got him against the cage, was pulling a Marab, knee, and he got it done despite 0 takedowns. And then I think the main hero, the highlight that I need to mention in this fight was a guy by the name of Augusto Sakai. What a performance from Augusto Sakai when it comes to stuffing the takedowns. He did not allow one takedown in this fight, which is amazing for someone who's like a washed late 30s year old man. He did not get one takedown from DeFree. He stuffed all of them. It's a shame that he pulled a Dustin Poirier and he could not get any punches off once he escaped the clinch. But in terms of getting rid of those takedowns, he was a master for 5 whole rounds, which I can't say I'd be able to do. I would tap like chicken, brother. So shout out to Augusto Sakai.
So Augusto Sakai is only 33. He's a very young heavyweight.
Yeah, but still, he's worn in terms of experience, in terms of where he's been at and how long he's been fighting and who he's been finished by. He was on a loss streak for a while. I think he went out on a win in the UFC, so I guess that gives him his prestige.
Yeah, I don't
fight.
So the fight was like good. It was bad. It was bad because Phil wasn't impressive, or did Augusto? It sounds like he actually put up a good fight, and if I'm not mistaken, some people thought he may have won even.
Apparently the KSW commentary team thought that he won pretty much the entire fight. Round 1, 2, and 3. They were sorely mistaken. Sakai got no punches off. He barely had anything for offense. All he did was good defense. And they didn't give one round to DeFree, the commentary team. They were a bunch of scrubs, and they got to eat their words. So
by the way, I want to say
I was tossing my phone across the room, having to listen to those fucking idiots.
Holy shit,
I saw that he was winning rounds, and they
a little bit, man.
Spewing BS.
Hey, I just want to say shout out to Isha and shout out to JL. Thank you guys for being here.
Thanks, guys. So anyway, the commentary team ate crow, and I liked it. Let's move on to the next lock. 167. Taiwan Chai versus Natawu.
Let's go over that a little later, please.
Okay, so Cade Roatolo, he won by round one submission.
We'll go over one here in a little bit.
Okay, so anyway, you got it done. LFA, Mauricio Rodriguez, who I switched within like 5 seconds. I was like a few hours out from missing the deadline for putting in my picks, and I thought, oh my god, they canceled the fight that did the lock for. Quick, Mauricio Rodriguez, round 1 submission.
Sorry. So you had a different lock, but then they canceled the fight, so you switched to a completely different fight?
Yeah, they canceled it last minute, and I switched like a professional, and I switched to Mauricio Rodriguez, and he got it done exactly how I thought he was going to get it done. So I'm very proud of myself for thinking the last minute thinking, and it just goes to show, never be fully confident in how a fight's going to play out before the two fighters are in the cage, because you never know what's going to get canceled.
Okay, got it.
Oh, okay, so JL and City Life Project are just arguing at this point.
I think that they're just arguing over Bilal Muhammad, which, to be fair, I don't think, even, let's just say Bilal totally sleeps Leon Edwards. I don't think anyone's gonna be like a fan of him. I mean, if a guy like Islam is having trouble like getting a fan base, outside of his region and religion, I think that Bilal have the same issue. But let's just let him argue. Me and Isha got some smoke to get to later anyway. So.
Let me tell you one thing. Ever since the Leon Edwards fight got announced, Bilal's been sleeping with one eye open. I mean, he does do that before the announcement. He does that most of the time, but he's sleeping with one eye open now, especially so because of the eye. Anyway, Cage Warriors. I had Damon Wilson by decision. I think I also had somebody else before this one, but Damon Wilson looked like the best on paper, and so I had him to win. He doesn't get a lot of finishes, but he looks really good in his fights. And this was actually a surprising banger of the night on Cage Warriors. Damon Wilson had the better of the exchanges, but he just got taken down, almost subbed, but he pulled a Raul Rosas Jr. and he couldn't tap. And so he pushed himself off the cage and ended up somehow getting into top position. And then they just swaying at each other for the next 2 rounds, and it was absolutely fantastic. A bunch of scrambles, one on top, one on bottom, and then by the end of it, both guys were covered in blood, arms raised in the air, and Damon Wilson got the victory. So that was the most fun lock that I had for the card. Honestly, not the most justifiable lock, but a lock nonetheless, and it was successful. So, by the way, Isha, JL thought that all these colors that you see on the screen were red instead of green. So I'd recommend you ask Jay to get his eyes checked, please. PFL Europe 2. I had Mark Ewan by round 2 KO, and I think this was the upset of the show. The Italian opponent that he was against just beat him up over 3 rounds. Ewan didn't get much offense in. He's getting tagged, just could not find his timing. Italian guy was taking him down and just completely outclassed him. I don't think anybody expected this, especially since it was an Italian in Japan, and you know how they fare on these European shows. So very surprising result. Sometimes you just can't predict these things. I'm not Mr. Hanky. So
Yee.
you have a little fool, yeah. I run this show for good, yeah.
What's up, Western Mass? We're just getting into some regional picks before we get into the meat and potatoes of the weekend. Yeah, good to see you here, man.
Let me tell you, JL, you'll do what you're told, yeah. Because I run this show. I run this show forever. And Conor McGregor's gonna get drunk and smash the bottle over Michael P. Head's head, yeah. You stupid clown, you fool, yeah. All right, let's go to
nothing. We gotta get the JL minute, dude.
Yeah, so that he can have a response to my constant impersonation. So
fuck.
Next we had Shamrock. I had him by round 1 submission, and he did exactly what he wanted to do. He's been finishing all his other opponents by round 1 submission, and he did the exact same thing. Classic technique. He looked like Jailton Almeida in there. He was doing, classic Shamrock shit, and he got the takedown, he got the sub. So almost mechanical at this point. So excellent work. It is academic. That is what I wanted. That's how I wanted to call it. Then we had Rizin 47. Karshiga Dotbeck.
We're gonna go over it though, so I don't think
we are. But it was an excellent KO. Excellent. Very fun. Classic Dotbeck.
Is that all? Okay, that's it for the weekend. So, I guess we'll get right into one. And I didn't really make a lot of picks here, but what did you think about the show overall, my friend?
I think it.
And sorry, how much of it did you see? My bad.
I think I saw most of it. Honestly,
okay.
I think I watched it pretty much from the start. So nice. I don't think there might have been one fight that I missed just because I was at the dining commons when it was happening. But overall, I think I watched almost the entirety of it. So I got some things to say.
So this first fight, Johan Estupian, he knocked down this guy Zafer a couple times. It was a pretty actually entertaining kickboxing fight.
Mm-hmm.
This Brazilian woman submitted this Japanese woman very quickly. First round, a minute and a half in. Are you familiar with this guy, Johan Gozali?
Yes, I was. He actually got quite the reception coming out. The crowd was treating him like it was the next big thing. And then he got overly cocky, couldn't land his shots, kept going, yeah, come on, let's go. And then none of that translated to fight ability.
I actually thought that he won the fight from what I saw. But by no means was it like a landslide victory. And then obviously Tran got the win himself. But I don't really think that this and this kid is only he's like 19, right? This Johan kid. And he's fighting a 35-year-old Tran who is a lot more experienced than him. But I think he definitely has a future in Muay Thai, and I thought he still looked good. I don't think that this is like a bad setback or loss for him.
No,
like I said, he's
19. Learning experience. It's learning experience.
Yeah, and I still think he looked good in the fight. And congrats to Tran for getting the win. And Tran is always a very exciting fighter to watch. So I haven't seen very many of his fights. Adrian Lee makes his debut. I think we all are familiar with the Lee family inside of one championship. Obviously, Angela becoming a champion, Christian Lee becoming a 2-weight champion, and their younger sister Victoria, tragically passing away. So I think, and I've been very critical of this decision from Mr. Adrian Lee to fight in one championship. I don't think it's the smartest idea to, have a long tenured career, especially in MMA with one championship. Um, as we've seen, their MMA fights have just been on a steady decline. But nonetheless, Adrian Lee, I think that his striking, and again, I think he's only 19 or 17. He's a teenager, his striking definitely didn't look super polished, but I will say this kid's grappling this guy's a monster in the grappling, and I'm excited to see what he does next. What do you think about Adrian Lee's debut?
I thought he didn't look half bad. I thought he held his own on the feet. His takedown ability was just sort of classic Lee family. I mean, it looked just like Angela Lee sometimes with how he was getting it done. There wasn't a moment where he was getting beaten up at all by Mamarella, mostly keeping himself.
I thought he took some all right strikes from the guy, but you're right. There wasn't like a sustained portion of offense from
Yeah, and then he got
Mamarella.
the takedown, crawled around, got the backpack. Yeah, Dora the Explorer style. And then it was too late for Antonio, and he had to tap. He'll never get back now. So, really good stuff from Adrian Lee. I can't wait to see where he goes. I'd put him on fight nights. I'd put him on pay-per-views.
Yeah.
He's part of the Lee family, so it's like the Von Erichs and
And
wrestling.
one thing I will say is I think that one actually does a pretty good job of building up prospects. But if I were to advise Adrian, I would say, dude, get this contract out of the way and see what you can do elsewhere. Because fighting for Chaudhry, I don't think is the smartest idea if you're an MMA fighter. Denise Zemboaga was supposed to fight Stamp Fairtex inside of an MMA fight. She gets a late replacement, Noelle Grandjean, and she wins the fight via unanimous decision. Thought it was a pretty clear fight. Looked like Noelle came in on short notice. Sitsong Pinong and Nori had a fight. It wasn't super entertaining. It wasn't super. It wasn't a bad fight. It was a fine fight. We then move on to Cade Ruotolo having his MMA debut, which you actually picked him as a lock, if I do believe.
Yes. I had him by round one submission. I wouldn't say he looked phenomenal on the feet, but I will say he sort of had an Izzy-like kind of offense to him, where it was a lot of kicks, backing up, picking and choosing his strikes, being very careful. And then once he had the end, he just took him down pretty easy. I think there was a moment where Blake Cooper sort of stuffed it, but then Ruotolo found another space and he got around to the back. And he got those hooks in so quick. I mean, it looked like a grappling match by the time that he got on to the back of him. Just jumped, just pulled him down, and then the legs just immediately trapped him. Got the rear naked choke pretty easily. So as long as he tries to keep it to the ground and maybe like try to be sort of a Khabib kind of fighter, I think he's going to have a lot of success.
No, and I think I was actually surprised how much like willingness to fight he had. He didn't seem like afraid of the stand-up portion of the fight, though. I think his boxing is definitely needs some work. But yeah, I was surprised at some of the kicks he was throwing.
They looked sick. Like you could hear them.
Yeah, poor Blake Cooper was brought in to lose, and he did. So, Musa Mechi, he submits this man, Jayo Souza. It was a good. Usually, when Mikey Musumeci grapples, you can expect a somewhat interesting grappling match. Look, I'm not like a big on grappling, but I will say that watching Musumeci is like
watching an artist.
Yeah, it's just fine. I wouldn't say I'm like stoked, but what I was stoked on was this man's post-fight interview, dude. Oh my gosh, did you see? Yeah, okay.
I watched all of it.
Musumeci, like,
he's unhinged, dude.
He shows a new wrinkle. You know,
Yeah.
and like I've been one of these guys being like, this kid's soft, he's a weirdo,
Oh,
but no, he addressed all that stuff. He goes, no, screw you guys. Like this guy was talking mad crap, but he actually used the word shit a
And
couple
then
very
he
many
said,
times.
I don't want to swear, you guys. I really don't want to swear,
Yeah,
but
and then
fuck him. He
yeah,
fucking sucks. He fucking say this about me. Fuck
proceeds
him.
to swear, and he just kind of like wanted all the smoke and addressed all the haters. It was a new wrinkle from Musumeci, and frankly, one that I liked. I was like, dude, this is dope. This is dope. I like this Musumeci. And then he faces off with Cade, who just got an MMA win. Am I correct in saying that, or was it the other? It was totally
Yeah,
Cade,
Kate.
right?
It was Kate. Yeah,
So
they
it was
stared each other down. They stared each other
yeah,
down.
it was super weird because like Cade just had this MMA fight, made his MMA debut, and you go,
Yeah.
oh, he's
They
gonna
just
be an
carted
MMA
him
fighter.
right back out. Carted him right back
Yeah,
out.
yeah, and then they just exactly. They pull him right back into the grappling by having him face off with Musumeci, who's going to go up
All right,
a
get
weight
in there,
division.
Rutello.
Yeah, to grapple Cade. So that was, I thought promotionally that was really weird, but what do you think about that future grappling match? Again, I don't really care about grappling, but yeah, cool.
I think that Mikey might have some problems with Cade just because
Yeah,
he's so much bigger. It's
well,
going to be so easier for Cade to scramble with him and get on top position. He's just got
yes.
more weight. But it's Mikey Musumeci, so
Well,
you
and
never
it's
know.
one.
He's lacking some miraculous sub. It's actually
Yeah,
a pretty close contest,
and
but
it's one. This is what they do. They
yeah.
mix and match weight classes and sports. So
I think that
cool.
at one point Cade is going to throw a knee that's going to be very controversial. Whether it
Yeah,
works
he's not
for
gonna know.
Mikey, and then they're going to
Uh,
count it
I
for
believe
quote
that we
unquote.
saw is Ty or Cade the bigger of the two brothers. Do you know? Because
Uh,
I was
is
in
it Ty?
Denver. Ty, he has to be because
I think
Musumeci's gonna
so.
grapple Cade. Has to be.
Right.
Okay. Well, we move on. Rod Tang, Jit Monyong
Mhm.
beats Dennis Purich in a kickboxing match, which was. Oh yeah, that was the thing about the Sitsong Pinog fight too. That dude was a kickboxer as well. So
Right.
they had kickboxers fighting in, sorry, they had Muay Thai fighters fighting kickboxing matches, which I thought was really strange.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, so he fights Dennis Purich in a kickboxing match after he had called him out after winning a Muay Thai fight, which is really strange. I said in the lead up this would be a warm up, a tune up fight for Rod Tang. I did not expect it to be as exciting as it was though. Purich, I thought was actually winning the first round until he got clipped, and then he was like,
Mhm.
"Oh shit!" Rod Tang actually
Different
packs a
power.
punch, and then Rod Tang kind of just proceeded to win the rest of the match pretty handily. But
I
it was
love
just
his
a fun
knees.
one.
His knees are
Yeah,
so much fun. He just has perfect timing for those suckers.
and especially switching over to kickboxing, I thought it was pretty impressive of him. Because you're not supposed to like clinch, put a full tie clinch on somebody and then throw a knee. You're only supposed to like, and he did it perfectly. Jump in for a second, throw the knee. Was pretty impressive. But again, Purich made the fight really fun, and
Yeah.
I think it was a great fight.
This
What'd you
fight of
think
the night.
about? What'd you think
Definitely
about
fight
it?
of the night. Purich was at his best in the first round. He was
Hmm.
cracking Rod Tang on some occasions, but then I think Iron Man at one point just started putting everything together, looking so clean, coming out of the matrix, just hitting him at every angle with whatever he could. It's obviously helps when you're a Thai fighter and you got the entire crowd of Thailand going, "Ah! Ah!" for
Yeah,
every
right.
fight
Every
that you
time you,
do.
yep.
That probably helps you with the judges. And meanwhile, Purich like throws a spinning elbow that lands right on the chin, like crickets, And obviously they're going to be a little bit biased. That always helps. But I don't think Rod Tang needed it for this fight because he was just whooping on him at some points and just getting six hit combos on him like Max. Obviously it was very close. It was closely contested for most of it. But I think Rod Tang easily got the better of the exchanges. And I was shocked when he said that he had an injury going into this because he looked just so good. Like I wouldn't even be able to tell if he had an injury going into the fight. But apparently he did.
No.
I was scared he was going to retire. I was really scared he was going to
Yeah, it
retire.
was kind of weird seeing him cry, and I believe he had an injury before. That's why he had to pull out of his fight with Takeru, and Superlex stepped in, which Superlex doing everything Rodtang should be doing.
Yeah, I know.
So I don't
He's
know if
taking
he
over.
had I don't know if he was necessarily injured going in, but if that's what you're saying he said in the interview, then I'll take your word for it. I just want to address this. Dude, JL, just leave, bro. Like, if you think Rizin is too barbaric, like, please just get the fuck out of here, and we don't want you to be in here.
You have
Also,
your JL minute revoked. The JL minute is
no,
revoked.
I think we should. I think we should do that. That'd be hilarious. He says no
I'll mess with him.
finishes, and then City Life or Isha says, "Well, Rizin had finishes." Look, and we'll get into this later. Like, I don't think that like finishes against overmatched opposition doesn't necessarily constitute a great card to me. I thought that this card was decent because there was good matchups, even though there wasn't finishes on the main card. But we get into the last fight of the night, which is a rematch.
Yeah.
Tawan Chai defeats Joe Nadawat in another banger of a fight. This time in Muay Thai. Last time was in kickboxing. Apparently, Taiwan Chai is a a two-sport champion. I thought this was weird. Like, I don't know. I just don't get it. It's like you beat the guy in kickboxing. Now you're gonna fight him in Muay Thai. Anyway, what'd you think about this fight?
I think it started out pretty slow, but then again, Lawler versus McDonald too started out slow too, and that ended up being a great fight. There was one point where Chai kicked the other guy with his leg, and then Nadawood kicked him back with his leg. Taiwan Chai, I guess. We're going on a last name basis, very formal. So Nadawood kicked him, and then Taiwan Chai kicked him back, and that was the first round.
Sanchez is just the gym that he trains at.
And then once the next couple of rounds got started, then they started to throw some punches and go back and forth. Taiwan Chai, I think, got the better of the exchanges. Looked slick. Joe at some points just couldn't let his hands go, despite being nicknamed Smokin' Joe. He did not look like Smokin' Joe for the majority of this. I think he got more confident as the rounds went on, but by that point it was too late. Taiwan Chai is just a guy who usually just has a better output. And I think he just got his timing down for the most part. And Joe just had a really tough time getting started. And once he did, it didn't matter anymore. So I think Taiwan Chai had better pacing. He had better strikes. He countered. And I think he was the better man.
What I'll say is I think Joe is probably the better fighter. You know what I'm saying? But Tawan Chai is just too technical, bro. Like, you're not going to beat this guy.
It's like dealing with Leon Edwards,
Right. Well, besides the volume aspect, like Tawan Chai actually throws. But yeah, like I thought that a lot of people were saying this was a robbery.
No, not at all.
Yeah,
I literally was by the end of the fifth round. I was like, he won. I think he won.
Totally, yeah. No, in the chat and over at Rush Hour, everyone was like, "Oh, robbery, fucking robbery." Joe won that, and I was like, "Bro, I saw 4-1 for Tawan Chai. You could make a case that Joe won the last two, but I'm like, dude, Tawan Chai dusted this guy easy." But I will say that doesn't mean that the fight wasn't uncompetitive, because though I had 4 rounds for Taiwan Chai, I thought that all the rounds had competitive moments, but he just pulled away. What do you think about Chaudhry saying, and this could have been taken out of context, I didn't actually listen to the interview which he said, but what do you think about Chaudhry saying he wants to rematch them in Atlanta?
I don't know if it's that close a fight to the point where that's warranted. I think I'd be sort of bored going into that. I'd give him another challenge, to be honest.
As in, if you were Taiwan Chai, you'd be kind of bored.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. I don't know who is there at the division. I'd have to look at the rankings, but who fucking knows what the fuck. But I think that it would be a good fight promotionally, to bring to Atlanta. But I just don't know. I don't know, man. It's weird when you talk about one championship coming to the United States, right? Because I think that they did it perfectly the first time they came to Denver last year.
Yeah.
Because they headlined the card with DJ, who
is a star in America.
Well, I was there for the fight, mostly nobody knew who Rodtang or Stamp was. But they knew who DJ was. Like, DJ got the most the Rodtang and Stamp got big pops. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
More people actually were like rooting for DJ, if that makes
Of
sense.
course. Yeah.
So
Why
they did
wouldn't
it really well the first time they came, but
Mhm.
I don't know if they necessarily need to have a big American name headlining the card, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a good enough fight and it's a dream fight, I think you're gonna have enough fans in America that'll want to see it. If
Hey,
you have
what's
just
going
good
on, Cool
action
Breeze?
throughout. Yeah. I mean, there are so many territories outside of America that American fans like. So, that
Right,
they
right.
have enough free matchups that they can put together a decent enough card. If there's a
Yeah,
big name that where it's warranted, yeah, sure, go for it. But if
yeah.
it's not warranted, it doesn't matter. Just find the one that works. I
I
think
mean,
people
who?
will like Haggerty.
I mean, who is the biggest American star that one has?
I mean, I think it's
Musumeci?
Musumeci or DJ.
But DJ's not going to fight for them again. I
He's,
mean,
he's
that's
not.
just my personal opinion. I don't think he's going to fight for them again.
Yeah.
What?
I
Who
think
would he fight?
Rod Tang's a pretty universally loved fighter, even in America. So I'd do something with him.
Yeah, and it's weird when you talk about the star power of DJ versus the star power of Rod Tang. Like, dude, throw Rod Tang in a fucking anywhere, bro. Like, this guy's gonna. The fans will be the people in the crowd will be fans of him by the end of it. You know.
That's true. I mean,
So
whatever works.
I'm gonna quickly recap. Glory. Did you end up watching Glory at all?
Not much, and it's a shame because it seems like you and Jay liked it, not JL, but Jay from Rush Hour City MMA.
Yeah, dude. I mean, to me, this was card of the weekend. But when I break it down, you'll know why. And so I actually missed the very main event, but
Uh-huh.
I was keeping up with the coverage of it.
Yeah,
Let me quickly try to find the results here. But yeah, what it was it was a light heavyweight tournament,
right.
and it was a one night tournament at that.
Hmm.
Um,
But it wasn't one; it was just one night.
Hey, if one did one night tournament, I mean, I wish I could see more one night tournaments across combat sports in general.
That'd be pretty funny.
Getting them sanctioned in the United States is the problem, though, right?
Hmm.
Let's see. Glory. I'm actually on Glory's website trying to find it.
UFC fight night card. Jesus Christ.
What's that?
No. Nothing. Just muttering under my breath about my own insecurities. It's no big deal. Let's get back to the action with Glory Kickboxing. A lot of injuries.
Okay.
Hey, that's what they're all about.
Oh shit. Wrong one.
Lightweight Grand Prix. Caught him on Glory. It was amazing. It seems like Isha caught up on everything. He watched everything
Let's
within
see.
5 minutes.
What did he say?
Isha's apparently caught up on a bunch of stuff, so good for him. He's
a lot of
the
injuries in that tournament. Yeah. It was well, there was actually no. I don't think there was. So we get into it. I'm gonna kind of just skip some of the other fights. I'll just kind of cover the tournament itself. So you had my favorite kickboxer, and still my favorite kickboxer, even after the events of this, Bahram Rajamzadi. Both, I will say, like the semifinals sort of worked out exactly how they were supposed to. Rajamzadi, he knocks out El Booney pretty quickly. We then had Mazlubayev. This was where the weird injury happened. I believe he kicked a guy and then his like arm broke off the kick. I thought it was really weird.
Oh, a classic Glory with the arm breaks.
Yeah, totally. But there wasn't any more after this. And hell yeah, Isha, I love that. I love that because this guy is just entertaining and looked down and took a kick to the jaw. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I guess he is right. There was a lot of injuries. But that's what's gonna happen, dude. Kickboxing is such a brutal sport. Abina, who is the former champion, gets a really quick knockout against a man named Letishu. I don't know what this guy's issue was.
That's one thing that I love about tournaments is that you can have a guy who's like the champ coming in and then he goes 3 brutal rounds and just barely wins. and then now your champion is actually at a disadvantage in the tournament. Whereas if you dust a guy in one round within 5 seconds, like sort of nicer going into it.
And that's sort of what happened with Tariq Hababes. I've never really been super impressed by this guy, but he gets a guy named Torre who kind of looked like the kickboxing version of Deontay Wilder, with the skinny legs and being a tall dude with, like some braids and shit. Hababes, the actual champion, gets a win over him. We then had Rajamzadi fighting Mazlubayev, in which it was a strange fight because it was a damn good fight in the first round. But in the second round, at some point, there seemed to be a clash of heads, which split the lip of Mazlubayev. He then got very, very upset and was like, "Yo, fuck this shit," and he quit.
He has on me. Fuck this.
There was a super long pause in the action, and then Mazlubayev's like, "Nah, fuck this, I'm done," and he just straight up quit. So gives Rajamzadi the win. He then had the champion Tariq Hababes fighting the former champion Abina, and it seemed like though he kind of breezed through the fight with Torre. His name is Pascal Torre, the guy we fought in the quarterfinal, the champion Hababes, who I think sounds like a Formula One fighter, or like maybe even a tennis player from France, right? Pascal Torre, maybe like a movie director from France. I guess
that is French New Wave.
I guess that his leg got kind of messed up, and Abina took full advantage of that, and he whooped Kababe's ass. And by the end of the first round, he could barely stand. He ends up getting knocked out via leg kick. You hate to see it, but which I think is weird, right? When your champion loses in a one-night tournament, he gets knocked out by the former champ. Right. So then you had Rajamzadeh fighting Abina, and though I need to go back and watch it, from all accounts, it was not very close. Abina hurt Rajamzadeh quickly. He dusted him off in the second round, and I guess it wasn't even close. And bad night for my favorite kickboxer, Bahram Rajamzadeh. But I believe the Golden Wolf can rebound and get it back. His problem mainly is he's just full balls to the wall, like come to knock you the fuck out. And if that doesn't happen, he probably loses the fight. Which his last fight was in the heavyweight Grand Prix, which was just a few weeks ago, which is strange that these men competed in a heavyweight one-night tournament and then went right over into a light heavyweight one-night tournament, which, again, the card was amazing. But I think that these guys need some rest, and maybe we can see some of these matchups again. But for Abina, the former champion, winning the whole tournament, all knockouts, you know what I'm saying? Super, super impressive. And this just proves that they got to run that Hababes, the actual champion, in Abina fight as soon as both men are healthy, because clearly Abina is the actual champion.
Damn right.
So
that'll be exciting to see. Good for Glory. I mean, they've been on sort of a skid for the last couple of shows, so it's nice to see him rebound with a really fun tournament. Tournaments save everything. So
I agree, man. I agree. Unless it's a Scott Coker Grand Prix.
Yeah. In which case, fire Scott Coker.
So we go from what I thought was card of the weekend to the worst card of the weekend, which happened to be the UFC card in Louisville.
Dana's promotion? That's the best promotion in the world. How could they have a show?
Well, to be fair to them, they've been on a pretty bad streak of fights, and I think that is due to overstacking, which is weird to think that the UFC could actually overstack a card, right? You'd think they have enough star power to
not when it's Sean O'Malley and they need to compensate.
Sure, yeah, and they need to build him up. That's a good point.
Also, it's always with these anniversary shows, with these 100s, these 200s, 300s, and you have 14, 15, 16 fights on a card, and you put in all the stars. All those stars are now, those spaces where the stars would be on fight nights and other pay-per-views are now cleared up. And especially if the fighters have injuries, then all of a sudden there's just an empty, vacant lot.
You know what? I'm gonna give Cool Breeze some credit here. He says worst card of the weekend was Broner versus Cobb. Did you see this card at all?
Not at all, and I'm happy I did.
Oh my gosh, dude! It was a Don King promotion. Uh, it was a shit show. It was a shit show. It was just like a low cost production. Don King, fucking weird card. I was joking around, and to credit to Don King because his last fight card with Adrian Broner looked like it was in a fucking gymnasium. You know what I'm saying? This was actually at the Mohegan Sun Casino, and it was in an actual venue this time. But I was like joking around that there was potato salad. They're serving hot dogs and potato salad. Like
there, the circus clown is there.
Yeah, the clown fucking making balloon animals and shit.
Yeah,
but yeah, Broner ends up getting beat up by Blair Cobbs. He gets dropped, and I believe when he gets dropped, the knockdown occurred and his tooth went flying out, which is a veneer, but still, fucking tooth came out. And yeah, man. What a weird. Yeah, Adrian Broner's washed, and anyway, it was hilarious. But we get into it. So I did not watch this fight. Did you?
I did watch the entire fight. When it's UFC and I got my picks for the entire card, I try not to miss any of them.
I was out on a bike ride. This was happening at the same time as the Glory light heavyweight
Grand Prix tournament.
Yeah, it was finishing up in the final. So I was actually out on a bike ride at that point. But go ahead, tell us what happened.
So Pooja Tomar, she was doing a decent job with the striking, catching Amanda in moments here and there. The thing is, they were going back and forth pretty much this entire fight. And I thought that Rhea and Amanda actually got the better of the exchanges for the most part. Like, as soon as Rhea and Amanda had the motivation to get more aggressive and push forward, she was landing everything that she was throwing on Tomar. Like, she does not have very good defense. The striking defense, the Indian prospect. And so if she's pushed up against the cage or they're in the pocket, Amanda was getting the better of her. And actually, round one ended with both their significant strike numbers being tied. In fact, wow. I thought that Amanda just edged it for round one. So already I thought that Rhea and Amanda won round one and had the advantage. Round two, she starts piecing up Tomar. Like, she starts to find her rhythm, and she's going to the body and she's going to the head. Luckily enough, there was not that much grappling in this fight, which was a godsend. It's still women's MMA, so the striking was pillow-fisted. But Amanda still looked really good. Tamar was just, as soon as she's on the back foot, she just gets figured out. Like, it's very hard for her to start dodging. And I thought, honestly, you could argue that Rhea and Amanda could have won all 3 rounds. And that's why there was one scorecard that had it 30-27 Amanda. And the fucking goofs of these judges, one of them had it 30-27 for Tomar, despite her being outstruck in every single round. And there was one where it was tied. Okay, great. But Amanda had the more significant strikes that first round as well. So you cannot have a scorecard where she wins all 3 rounds. It just makes absolutely no sense. That was a rigged scorecard that they had from the start, and they always do this, where one of them has a 30-27 for Paulo Costa. Bullshit. Yeah, or 50-45. Yeah. And it was just rotten. Like, so they obviously wanted Dana's special little Indian star to win. And so they gave her the split decision. But Rhea absolutely deserved the win. She was a better striker, and Tamar's going to get absolutely exposed in her next fight. I guarantee it.
And to be fair, like, we previewed the card by saying this could happen, right?
Yeah.
That by saying, the Indian, they want to get that market. We'll see what happens. But yeah, she gets the win there in a controversial fight. And I'll just say, like, I'm usually the guy telling y'all, like, to chill the fuck out, and close fights don't mean robberies. But I will say, man, I think, and this debate comes up every once in a while, but I'm certainly at a point where I think that judging and reffing is at a really bad spot.
It is so mid.
Worse than I've seen it since I've started watching fights, to tell you the truth.
Boxing, UFC refs and MMA refs are starting to look like boxing refs at this point. It's bad.
I'm not like all that opposed to necessarily. But yeah, we'll get into it a little bit more as the card progresses. Our next fight, Cody Stamann, defeated by Taylor Lapilus. Another fight in which I did not watch, so I'll let you kind of take the reins. But I will say that I once famously said that, or infamously, I guess, on another podcast. And again, I didn't need to bring it up in our preview show, but I just felt like it was warranted. I said that I didn't think Taylor Lapilus would get another win in the UFC, and I was proven incredibly wrong because from what I had heard and from account, Cody Stamann just couldn't figure out how to really strike with Taylor Lapilus competitively, and also couldn't take him down. And I think Taylor Lapilus's takedown defense held up well. So yeah, good win for him. What'd you think about the fight?
So at this point, I was starting to feel pretty good about myself, and I'm just like, I got this one in the bag. And boy, was I wrong.
You don't need to be arguing with JL in the chat, man.
For the next 4 fights, I was was it 3 or 4? I think it was 4. Maybe it was 3. For the next 3 fights, I was very, very wrong. But I was right here. I will give it credit to Idaho for sticking to his guns and making good on his promises, not to ever pick Lapilus.
Now I can get over that and judge his next fight objectively.
Yeah. So yeah, good for sticking to your guns and sticking to your principles. It didn't work out for you this time, though.
No.
Cody Stamann, he does not know how to take his opponents down, despite being an experienced wrestler. And he's got very, very short arms. So anything that he was throwing on Lapilus was hitting his shoulders or his arms. Lapilus, again, he needs to sort of find that inner killer in him for certain moments where he just needs to pour on the aggression. And I think he did going into like the end of the first round and most of the second round. I think he was pouring it on Stamann. He was really good at throwing knees. His elbow work was excellent. There were just certain moments where you could just hear the impact of his shots. So he did have power. He was proving my theory about the new gloves wrong for most of the fight. But I think going into the third round, he started to wear out a bit. Cody Stamann finally got a takedown and then proceeded to do absolutely nothing with it. He just laid on him like Gamrot. Unfortunately for him, Lapilus is not a Gamrot victim, so he just pushed himself off the cage and just got back up and started piecing him up once again. This was a masterful performance from Lapilus, in my opinion. Good for him starting to get a little more aggressive in his fighting style, but I think he needs to keep bringing out that dog in him.
And credit to you, you broke down the fight. You previewed the fight perfectly. Ishi, you can't fall asleep because we're going to talk about Rizin after this. So yeah, we move on to
drink some champagne, Isha.
Another fight. Denise Gomez defeats Eduarda Mora. I was pretty tuned out on this one. I thought that the fight was close. I didn't really care too much. It wasn't like a very entertaining fight, if you ask me. But I did predict it correctly, for what that's worth. What say you, my friend, as you type more things to respond to the comments?
Absolutely. I thought Mora looked absolutely shit.
Hold on. That's fucked up, Isha. You didn't go to bed after Rizin? What the fuck is wrong with you, dude? Go to sleep. What the fuck are you doing here?
I encouraged him to go to sleep, and he did not listen to me. I think he was doing his dishes, and then somebody showed up to the apartment, and he wouldn't shut his yap, and then next thing you know, no sleep for him. No sleep for you! So, poor Isha. He's a victim of his own idiocy. But, he'll find a way. He'll eventually pass out.
And apparently, according to you, Eduarda Mora is as well.
What?
And according to you, Eduarda Mora is as well.
Yeah, she is an utter buffoon. She tried to take Gomez down. At some points she did, but she could not get any hold of her once they were on the ground. Like, she was a slippery fucker. Just was like butter. Just slipped right out, got on top. She sort of looked like Ludovic Klein with Thiago Moises, where she can take her down as much as she wants, but Gomez is just able to get right back up. And once that started happening, Mora had no idea what to do. She had decent striking in moments. Like, she got her timing good, but it wasn't like combinations of punches. She is not a natural striker. Like the best she can do is just throw individual shots like jabs and 1-2s and rights and just pray that they land. And sometimes they did and sometimes they didn't. But where she really struggled was having effective grappling because she had almost none of it for the entire fight. I thought that she just maybe edged the fight, just maybe like with the first round and the third round.
And that's what I thought at the very end of the fight. I was like, oh, it could probably go either way.
Yeah. But if anyone impressed me more, it was Denise Gomez. And if anyone let me down more, it was Eduardo Mora. In my opinion, Gomez was doing exactly what she needed to do, which was escape the takedowns, get up, and start throwing. And Gomez had the better shots. She's the more natural athlete and striker. Mora is not natural because she can't seem to make weight to save her fucking life.
Yeah,
She is the 115-pound Jailton Almeida,
or
where
Paulo Costa.
she just absolutely panics and tries to shoot the takedown over and over again. And by the second round, she just looked absolutely pathetic, and I just stopped caring about her whatsoever. And she's a weight bully, so in my opinion, she deserved it. So good for Denise Gomez. She's actually solid. I hope she keeps moving on with her career because she's decent. And Eduardo Mora,
only 24.
And Eduardo Mora can maybe like cut her limbs off so that she can actually make weight for her next fight or do something. Weight cheat.
We go into the next fight. Daniel Marcos defeats John Castaneda. I thought that this was a great performance for Daniel Marcos. There was like one moment in the fight where I thought he got like literally one moment of the fight where Castaneda like put some good offense together, and it seemed like he may have even hurt Marcos, but for the most part, just like pretty much clear just domination for Marcos. Dude's a fantastic kickboxer. I believe Castaneda got one takedown on him, wasn't able to do much with it. What was your assessment of the fight?
My assessment is that Marcos was the better striker. There were moments where Castaneda had some good right hands and left hands, but Marcos was controlling the action, could actually shoot a takedown every once in a while and get some control up against the cage, get some knees, get some elbows. He just seemed like the more effective striker. He was delivering punches in bunches. I think he dropped Castaneda at some points in this fight. Yeah. So it's nice to see some power in those hands with the new gloves. But for the most part, I think it was just Marcos picking him apart. And looking like Daniel Marcos. He did not engage in who can kick the nuts, the other in the nuts contest. So I was happy to see that. He didn't pull a negative IQ Marcos out there. Yeah. So hopefully we see some more from him and keep working on that power, baby. Learn under Pereira or Ngannou or something.
And I did see that he is from Minnesota, Isha. So your boy got
Minnesota.
But, we move on to the next fight. And I was gonna say, it goes to show you when we're both like in agreement on a fight, chances are you should probably pick that one. I think there may have been one or two fights up the card that we may have both been in agreement on and they lost. But for the most part, guys, if me and Hank are locked in on something, chances are you should go with that pick yourself. Montana De La Rosa defeats Andrea Lee via 3-round decision. I actually liked this fight. I thought this was a great fight. There was great scrambles, but it was mostly a grappling contest. If from my memories serves me, I watched fights for 16 hours, basically Saturday. So
hey, you pulled a J from Rush Hour. Good for you. You and Jay are on the same level, same wavelength.
But I mean, I'm the mod in there, so I gotta keep things in check. But Montana gets the W, and I think that the reason why is because it was mostly a grappling contest. Andrea Lee in a kickboxing match probably defeats Montana 9 times out of 10. But she decided to grapple a little too much with Montana De La Rosa, and it was about this point in the card, Hank the Tank started to get pretty upset, and he was texting me pretty mad. So
I don't know if it was for good
the algorithm, man. The algorithm, AJ. You know what? We're taking over YouTube, and just deal with it, man.
I think you subconsciously wanted to click this, AJ, and your brain just made your hand scroll over to the search bar and then type it all in full, perfect caps lock, perfect spaces, and you accidentally typed our channel name into your browser. So that's on you, AJ. You need to work on your brain. Anyway, Andrea Lee looked excellent in the first round. was piecing up Montana De La Rosa, was getting the better of her on the feet, but she just could not stuff the takedowns. And she played the grappling game a little bit too much. Montana took full advantage. Andrea Lee was on the canvas. Sometimes she got up, sometimes she didn't. And this became a grappling Mikey Musumeci match from round 2 onwards. Nobody dropped any F-bombs during this fight, and I was very disappointed. But Andrea Lee, I think she's still talented. She's still a good striker. But she just made a little bit, sometimes too many mistakes in this one. Still a close fight, still an entertaining fight. And it was, I believe Montana won via split decision with this one.
All the women's fights went to split, I believe.
Yeah. So I can't be too mad at my picks losing on the women's side because they usually end up being close fights. So it could be anybody's game. Literally just flip a coin.
I didn't think this one should have been a split, but again, I'm not I'm not crying foul. By the way, what's up, Weedy Gonzalez, my homeboy? Good to see you and AJ hopping in. And no, there is no Isha segment. Why the fuck would there be an Isha segment? This man does enough podcasts for you throughout the week. He fucking didn't go to sleep yet, and he did Fury today. So no, fuck that. I'm not smart enough to jump on the show. Isha, you're like a really you're very critical on yourself, man. You need to just
for
chill
no reason.
out, man.
For no reason.
You're doing just fine, man. We love you.
You are quite lucid compared to JL, man. So you got to give yourself a trophy for that one.
The next fight, Brad Katona defeats Jesse Butler. I mean, what's there to say? Katona pretty much just took over the fight. Seemed like easy work for him. What say you?
Apparently, Butler didn't practice any takedown defense in this fight, and Brad Katona took full advantage. I honestly can't blame Butler for not practicing it because Katona doesn't really shoot that many takedowns in his fights. He just mostly stands and bangs and does very little damage and then proceeds to lose to Garrett Armfield. But this was not the case. Apparently now he's learning under GSP and learning how to take people down and then not do much with it and lay on top. And that's exactly what he did. And Jesse Butler, he is still an explosive fighter. He showed it in round 3 and started to try to pour it on at least. But if this were a striking contest, we could see where this goes. But unfortunately, it was a grappling contest, which I did not predict would happen. And Katona just utterly dominated. And Butler basically pulled Rebellis to Spain and had no fucking clue how to get on his feet. Good job, Butler, you fucking idiot. I'm never picking you again.
Yeah, and you can tell by Hank's attitude towards this fight that at this point in the night, he was very upset. He was very bummed out. I was getting some angry text messages, not directed at me, but just directed at Louisville and
life itself.
Life, you know, and I was actually there by the end of this card as well. So, AJ, Isha is the Ray Longo of a podcast. No, because Ray Longo actually does one podcast for about 10 minutes. He says he needs his own segment. Hey, I'll bring Isha on. I will put the link in the chat. And I will bring Isha on, and we can have this. I'll go 2-on-1 against you fuckers, talking about Rizin. If you guys want, let me know, Isha. I'll send you the link. I'll put it in the chat. We're thinking about doing a JL minute because he's very he's very opinionated. He says sorry about that text. Yeah, AJ was trolling Hank last night, and I was laughing very hard. But yeah. Carlos Prates defeats Charlie Radke. KO 1. Was a vicious knee to the body, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm. That's
and
right.
We broke down this fight perfectly. I mean, again, when me and Hank are in alignment, man, just keep your ears open. You know what I'm saying? What's your assessment? We both had round 2 and we got it wrong. It was round 1.
Yeah, which was actually shocking for this card, and it was a breath of fresh air. And the next KO was in round 1 as well, which really showed that once you start having some round 1 finishes, the atmosphere of these cards changes. And next thing you know, it's Finish City. So with this fight, Charles Radke, he was trying here and there to get any offense in, but Carlos Prates just has too much talent and too much range. He can just hit you from too many places. There was one point where Radke threw a punch and Prates just literally caught it and was starting to fucking squeeze it like I don't know, Mr. Incredible when he grabbed somebody. And he was starting to make some weird faces like
like a
and
movie
then
scene when the guy like grabs a punch and the other guy's like
yeah, he was like Lenny from of Mice and Men. Once he caught that hand, he's like Lenny. So George. So next thing you know, he's grabbing onto him like Lenny, and then he gets him with the perfect knee right in the liver. Shuts Radke down. Apparently, the refs just do not like finishes on this card. They want
was
to
this
go
the one
with
where
my
he tried to
narrative.
walk off and then he
And the ref just
didn't
stood
stop?
there. He just
Right.
stood,
Okay.
Are you okay? It's over. After 10 seconds, are you good? Are you okay?
I think it was like some Louisville ref or like some guy I hadn't seen. Am I correct?
Yeah, pretty much. I
It was some
didn't
guy
recognize him
we
whatsoever.
hadn't seen, I think, or that's some guy we don't normally see.
Stop having these local refs on this card. They ruin everything. So the ref just stood there. Radke did not have the breath to say in, brother. He didn't have his post-fight presser moment where he would cancel himself again. I noticed he did do the double finger during the weigh-in, so he's still the bad boy. He still got Josh Koscheck, except he just like Josh Koscheck, he got put out by the better striker over and over and over again. So he got body shot, absolutely crumbled into a heap, pretended like it was an earthquake drill and like covered himself like this, laying on the floor
In the fetal position.
Yeah,
Hey, I
he
mean,
was like a fetus, and so
have you ever
he
been
treated him like a dead fetus and stop the
have
fight.
you ever been like body shot KO'd? I know it's a weird question to ask, but
I have not. I don't think I've ever even been in a fight, and if I did, it would just be like those stupid schoolyard fights where one of them takes the other guy down. And then
dude, I just wanted to address Dane's comment really quick. This upcoming Apex event is hard garbage. I actually think the card's gonna be fine. Herzog was better. No, he was not. He says thanks for the invite, dude. Isha, you have to stick around to the end of the show, dude. I cannot stress this enough because we're gonna talk about Rizin, and I want to give you a chance to fucking berate me in the comments. What I will say. What's that?
In response to Isha, apparently Prates smokes a cigarette before his fights. Like that is his tradition. He just like the French in Paris, and then that fuel scent going into the fights makes him feel like a gritty man. Feels like a man.
What is he talking about?
What
is JL talking about? Yeah, Weedy, literally. I feel like when you get hit in the liver is like a jolt of electricity throughout your whole body as well. Yeah, so I've been body shot KO'd myself. KO'd myself because I was skating a ledge, like a bench, you could say, just like a ledge, and slipped out on a trick and hit the side of my body right on the lead, and it hit my liver. And all you can do when that happens to you is literally curl up in the ball in the fetal position. Like that's literally only thing you can do, because actually at that point, like straightening your body out hurts more than curling up. It's a really shitty place to be. But yeah, that's exactly what happened to Radke. The ref was pretty slow to stop it. But this guy Prates, definitely one guy to look forward to. We'll have to see what happens when he gets deeper into a fight. But yeah, good win for him.
I have a question. I have a follow-up question. When you got hit by that rail to the liver, did you get flashbacks to being in your mother's womb, being in the fetal position?
No, but I did get Nam flashbacks. Being stationed in Da Nang, the chopper, the boat ride,
the bullet to the abdomen. Damn, that Viet Cong.
The boat ride and the merry-go-round,
the Russian roulette.
No, this is a South Park reference.
Okay.
Anyway, nobody understands, but it's all good.
I had to eat nothing.
Did JL delete all his comments? Or
I kept trying to find.
No, we haven't deleted any comments, so we must have said something that really upsetted JL. Do you know what we said? He says the fact that that's his response is rough. Then he says good night.
He's responding to himself at this point. I think he has an evil side of him that talks to him in the mirror like the Green Goblin. No, stop insulting me. Do it, Jay. Do it.
Dude, Weenie's always understands what the fuck I'm talking about, dude. There's this South Park episode where they ask him to ask like one of his family members who's been in Nam to do a school report, and fucking like is Jimbo like says he's like, oh yeah, we rode the fucking roller coaster and we did this. Like he basically was saying all the military camps in Vietnam are like entertain like fucking amusement parks. Um, he says I've KO'd myself with chemicals. I've also had the shit beaten out of me. Well, that sucks.
Yeah.
Nah, fuck him. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway,
When I think of
our
Vietnam flashbacks and cartoons, I just think of Principal Skinner. Johnny, Johnny, Johnny.
we move up the card. Ludovic Klein defeats Moises via decision. Uh, oh hell yeah, that's what's up. And I'm actually gonna see Isha soon, very soon, early July. So we'll be on the lookout for that. There might be some content we'll make. Anyway, so I've been trying to tell you guys that something happened, and Hank texted me during this fight. He was very upset because I believe you picked Ludovic to get a knockout. Am I right? Yes.
Yes.
So Hank was bummed, and I tried to tell him, I'm like, dude, something happened to Ludovic Klein where he's just like not exciting anymore.
Hmm.
But by the end of the fight, he seemed to put it together a little more. As you said earlier, Thiago wasn't able to really like play into his game and was forced to have mostly a kickboxing match with Klein, which led to his ultimate demise and gets me a wrong pick.
Yep. I thought Klein looked pretty good in this fight. He just had better hands against Thiago. An incredible takedown defense, by the way. When Moises got him down, he was just slippery and he got right back up. And next thing you know, he's holding Moises against the cage. Like, since when did Ludovic Klein learn takedown defense? Like, I picked him, and even I'm surprised at how good he was in the grappling. Like, this is unprecedented. As I said before, he almost got subbed by Nate the Train Landwehr. So I was thinking, oh man, if Moises gets him down, ooh, this
Yeah,
might be a tougher fight
and
for
I think
Klein.
that was
But
a
Klein was
little
like,
bit more
fuck
due.
that. I
Yeah.
don't need you grappling. I'm
I
done.
think it's a little due to more due to the just an immense pace that Nate the Train puts on you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's an overwhelming train. Once the train gets on the tracks, there's no stop. He's a speeding locomotive. But unfortunately, Moises is an engine that's starting to slow down a little bit, said the man in the top hat. Oh, poor Thiago, the tank engine. He just could not get any steam that day. And Ludovic Klein hit him with a right hand in the first round that put him on skates, almost left him frozen, like Elsa Trust. And again, he got through the new gloves, and he was still able to get some knockout power. That won him the first round. You could argue that Moises had a better shot in the second round. He didn't get wobbled. They went back and forth, but even then, Klein just couldn't get taken down. Like, he has some really good gyms, some really good coaches that obviously taught him some more takedown defense, worked with some grapplers for this one, and I think it's paying dividends. I said that Klein has just been gradually improving fight by fight in terms of his footwork, in terms of his power, and apparently now in terms of his grappling. So this guy is a complete fighter.
And
In my opinion,
like,
I think he deserves a top 15 opponent in the future.
and like I said, it's like not always a bad thing when, and that's reflective in his results, right? Like it's not always a bad thing when you're not exciting anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You
It can be a
you're
good
working
thing.
on, yeah, exactly. Like you're working on
Ask
shit.
Bilal Muhammad.
You're working on
Ask
shit,
Bilal.
and hey, I mean, he's getting a title shot, so say what you want about him.
And he knocked him down twice, including in round 3. And
But
in my
yeah,
opinion, should have finished him.
our next contest was Miguel Baeza being defeated by Punahele. I don't think a lot of people saw this coming. I think you would have thought it would have been a more exciting contest, but
It's rotten.
Punahele just outworks and outgrapples Miguel, who I said in the comments, like he got knocked out enough times to where he turned into a fucking grappler, and submission guy. This is pretty brutal to watch Miguel Baeza get beat down for 3 rounds.
So it was strange because Beza, I think, lost his brain during his walkout. I think it slipped out of his ear somewhere because he had him in a submission position with the leg lock and then absolutely refused to let it go. Absolutely refused to get on top. He refused to use it to transition to a better position. He just would not let go of the leg like a spaz. And then Punahele just kept hammer fisting him from within that position. And eventually he got on top, started laying the waist to Beza, got the better of him on the feet. Every time that Beza took him down, or at least tried to, it ended up getting reversed. And then somehow Soriano couldn't finish the fight because the refs, again, don't really like finishes and they want to contribute to my theory. So they just let
What
this.
theory is that?
New gloves bad, old gloves good. So he just refused to let Punahele Soriano finish the fight. If he dies, he dies. Mario Yamazaki inhabited the body of the referee for this fight and just let Beza bleed out. They should have stopped this fight once or twice in this fight, but they just let it go and refused to let this card have any finishes. So fuck the refs. Good for Soriano for pulling it together. He did. I really shouldn't get much credit for this fight. If anything, we should just be hating on Beza for good reason.
I disagree, man. I've always been a guy who's like doesn't hate Punahele, but definitely has a long work to do. But this is a good way to move forward, I guess. From two guys on a skid. What is up, Big Red, my man? Zach Reese defeats Julian Marquez in 20 seconds. Holy shit, Zach Reese just didn't let Julian do literally anything at all, and first uppercut he lands just colds fucking poor Mr. Cuban Missile Crisis.
Let me scroll up a little bit. All right, this was my proudest moment picking this entire card because I had faith in Reese. He got first round finishes. I said that he had really good pressure game and he was really good coming forward. People forget, man, that again, he was mostly putting the pressure on Cody Brundage and really fast and putting together punches and had good submission work. He didn't even need it for this one. He proved my new gloves theory dead wrong because he got the uppercut clean, immediately put him out with it. He's fast. He just pours on the aggression. Obviously, it's only 20 seconds, so it wasn't much to really analyze in this fight.
Right.
But what did happen, Zach Reese is quick and he is good on the feet. And he pushes forward. And I think he probably knew that Marquez has been through a lot of battles. And so his chin was sort of worn out going into this. And so he just timed that uppercut perfectly and put him out. And in my opinion, saved the card and made the main card the highlight of this show. He infused some positive energy into the show, and the crowd was really ruckus after he won. It didn't slow down after that. So very happy for Reese's Pieces.
We then had Bruno Ferreira. Again, Hank and I locked in on this one. We said Ferreira KO won, and that is exactly what the fuck happened. Two spinning back elbows by the second one. Dustin Soltis was on skates, and Bruno Ferreira continues the Hulk nickname, which he deserves so well.
Yes, sir. I will say that Bruno Ferreira looked a little bit, I don't know how to describe it, a little bit timid at the start. Like he was backing up against the cage. He wasn't really throwing all that much. He was letting Stoltzfus have a chance in this fight. And then at some point, he decided to pour on the gas and be his classic Bruno Ferreira self. I think Ferreira knew deep down in his heart that those gloves were not going to give him the win. So he had to throw in some elbows in the mix and just started spinning elbowing his way to a win. And he caught him twice with that spinning elbow. And he was like, oh, God, I can feel the demons inhabiting these gloves. They're whispering in my ears. Third round, decision, majority decision. No, I won't let you inhabit me, spirits, inhabit me, demons. And then, spinning elbow, cracks him, down he goes. I wouldn't say it put him over. That's going to be the narrative most people have with this fight, but he sort of got up after he got spinning elbowed, and then the referee was like between them for whatever reason. And then he just called it off, and Stoltz was like, whatever.
And I don't think this is the worst stoppage, but I definitely think if it would have continued, he would have gotten knocked out cold. It would have been brutal. Next fight, Raul Rosas defeats Ricky Tercios. I picked a decision. Your boy Hank got it correct in saying it was a round 2 submission. Picked it perfectly. I thought Rosas did a great job. Ricky put a pace on him right from the beginning of the fight,
Yes,
and
sir.
actually, like, apparently, when Ricky fights a 19-year-old, he decides to actually punch him and actually connect with his punches.
Child
Otherwise,
abuse. He's
Otherwise,
a
he's
natural
just
child
otherwise he's just
abuse.
jabbing at distance, hitting absolutely nothing. Sort of like a 125-pound women's fight, right? Where you just see these jabs and Kia, ha ha ha, and they're not hitting anything. Um, but yeah, credit to Rosas. He almost got subbed in the first round. I actually gave the first round to Ricky. He comes back in the second and puts a nice little hurting on Ricky Tercios and gets a submission of his own.
Yes, sir.
Oh, and he asked Dana White for 100 G's at the end of the fight.
And
And
he got it.
Dana did not give him a bonus.
I thought he did give him a bonus. I thought he got 50 G's.
No.
Let me check on that.
Yeah, because from what I saw in the post fight show, it was Prates got a bonus. I think there was 4 bonuses handed out, and Mr.
Performance of the night.
Raul was not one.
Raul Rosas Jr. got a performance of the night. Says
Oh,
so on the
sweet! I'm glad.
technology.
I'm glad he actually did get it then. In that case, because he deserved it. Yeah, that's why I was gonna say. I was like, dude, that's dumb if he didn't get one. But yeah, okay. Thanks for correcting me.
It would have been
I did
nice
not
if
know that.
It would have been nice if Dominic Reyes got a bonus as well. Given his
Oh, okay.
string
He's
of
the one that didn't
losses.
get one. Got it.
Yeah, that's a shame. But yeah, I called this fight perfectly. What I didn't call was Ricky Tercios getting the back of Raul Rosas
Yeah.
Jr. and almost getting a rear naked choke. I mean, this could have been C-Rod all over again if it wasn't for Raul Rosas Jr.'s incredibly gifted chin that he got from his family, just genetically passed through the bloodline to help this young man win fights. Because Ricky Tercios, as much as he tried with that squeeze, he could not get under that gigantic mountain of a chin.
And
His chin rivals Drew Dober's, so we got to put him on the tier list.
It was strange to see him in the choke, like not fighting the hands at all. He's just like punching Ricky, and it was like I was like, dude, he's done. Like he's getting choked out. It's done.
I thought he was too. But
I guess
that inbred chin just absolutely saved him, man.
Fucked up, man.
And at the end of the day, I got out of Ricky Tercios' submission. And at the end of the day, when it was the second round, I took him down. And at the end of the day, I did the exact same hold on him. You know, I'm trying to get some 100K from my mama. You know,
and so he ended up doing just that. Difference of chins towards the end because he had a squeeze and it wasn't under the chin either. But soy Ricky Tercios tapped. I will say, good for Ricky for harnessing the aggression that he was missing for his last 2 fights and tapping into those evil spirits because that almost got him to win. But again, Raul Rosas Jr.'s chin is just unfair.
Yeah,
so there's
I
no
mean,
way
it's weird to see him do it against a 19-year-old kid, but he can't do it against like a guy his age. You know, I don't know, but whatever.
And at the end of the day, I'm coming for that belt.
Wahoo! Rosas Jr. is becoming one of my favorite young fighters, but I'm biased. Yeah, man. I mean, how can you not like Raul Rosas? Dude comes to fight all the time. Hank Meany, menacing impersonation game. Yeah, for sure.
At the end of the day,
especially only when it comes to Hanato Moicano, he can't do it right.
Dominic Reyes. Let me tell you something, you stupid motherfuckers. Hank Moicano here to give
please,
you.
Okay, Dylan, please don't encourage this because this is just ruining the show. But
okay.
Anyway, we move on. Dominic Reyes defeats Dustin Jacoby via KO round 1 at 2 minutes in. This lost me all of my bets and convinced me to never bet on MMA ever again. But Dominic Reyes comes out aggressive. He looked good. He gets the knockout over Jacoby, who for some reason just couldn't really touch Dom. I'd actually be interested to see the punch stats. Seemed like he never really got a significant strike off. But as soon as Dominic Reyes lands a good shot, he hurts Jacoby and just goes right in for the kill, gets it down. But I mean, as much as this sucked for my betting and picks game, dude, hard not to be happy for Dominic Reyes, man. And good for him, man, because he was on a bad skid, a bad knockout skid, and he gets it done in impressive fashion and fucking just awesome, man.
I was a kid in a candy store for this fight. Like I was so relieved. Just it's like all the stress and the pain of my life just washed out of me. Like I just felt pure and clean again after watching this fight because I thought that as crap of a chin as Dustin Jacoby has, I thought that he would have enough technique and enough power to sort of neutralize the offense of Dominic Reyes. That Reyes would once in a while throw a good punch, like "ooh, wow, nice punch from Dominic Reyes," and then a jab from Dustin Jacoby would like put Reyes down. Like that's how what I thought was going to happen because of the Span fight. But boy, was I wrong because all of a sudden Dominic Reyes from 2020 just moved into the body of Dominic Reyes and just reset his brain because next thing you know, he's fighting like classic Dominic Reyes. Like I will say that Dustin Jacoby was piecing him up at the start of the first round and was making it a fight. And I was really scared for Dominic Reyes. I thought, oh God, this is the beginning of the end. He's starting to style on him. And next thing you know, he's doing the classic Dominic Reyes like move to the left, boom with the left hand and cracked Jacoby's chin. And then all of a sudden, he's on chicken legs and he's backing up. And then Dominic Reyes, it's classic Reyes. Bam, right hand, bam, left hand, knee, perfectly timed knee, sits him down. And then it's like he's Sugar Ray Leonard, just bam, 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 piecing him up.
Sugar
like he's
Ray Leonard.
Punching back. And then the referee stops it, and Jacoby just falls immediately right after.
Jacoby. What, dude? His name is not
Jacoby.
Yeah, like what?
Jacoby Myers.
What?
Stop it. Just let me finish my thought process.
I just don't get it.
He falls. The referee calls it off. Oh, like a Street Fighter character after you take away his health bar. and Dominic Reyes looks fantastic. Like he looks like classic Reyes, and just the relief that's on his face. He's almost crying. He's just smashing the canvas with his fists. Like I was pumped. I was just like the testosterone was just flooding through my body. This was the highlight of the card for me. And I think it made this card worth watching, even though it was crap for the most part. I think it redeemed itself with this main card, and especially this moment. This turned this from a 3 out of 10 to a 5 out of 10, in my opinion.
AJ said he felt like he was watching Rudy. That's hilarious.
Yeah. We are so back. We are so back. Let's go.
I do not understand why you would think his name is Jacoby. I think you're watching too much MMA Guru. Listen to the fat
fat fuck. He'll do the
next fight. Nasruddin Imavov defeats Jared Cannonier via KO in round 4. So the fight was pretty not great up to the point of the finish. But again, I was pretty bummed because I just lost all my money. So I was probably looking at the fight from pessimistic lenses. But and actually after watching the fight back, watching the stoppage back, I actually don't think it was like the worst stoppage I've ever seen. The bigger problem is that, I think that if the fight would have continued the way it was going, there's a case to be made that Cannonier makes it to the end. Does he come back and get a knockout win of his own? I don't think so, but it was an early stoppage, I will say, even though I'm sort of defending it a little bit. Definitely an early stoppage, a bad stoppage at that. But yeah, I mean, what's your assessment of the fight? Oh, before I let you go forward, Dominic Reyes needs to fight Anthony Smith next. What say you?
Absolutely, yeah. And on paper, I think Dominic Reyes.
That's the fight. They've jawed back and forth at each other, and that's the only fight to make. But yeah, go ahead and break down this fight.
I think that would be a pretty even matchup and a back and forth matchup. Both of them are sort of slower than they once were, but they still have some technique. I think it would be the fairest fight that you could possibly give Reyes and give people hope that he'll get another win, because Anthony fucking sucks. So about the main event, Jared Cannonier, I don't think he got the better of the exchanges. I think that Imavov was he was finding his timing. I think he was cracking Cannonier during certain moments, really good counters. Cannonier mostly
Did I say that he got the better of the exchanges?
No. I'm just saying this as
got you.
So I'm just saying how I'm wrong. Cannonier was just pushing him up against the fence, Was basically praying that the control time would win him the rounds, and sometimes it did, and sometimes it didn't. But Imavov, once they were separated, was just really good at finding his timing and cracking Jared Cannonier with some good strikes. I'd say this was, a pretty even matchup in terms of who was winning rounds, but in terms of like who was setting the pace and who looked like the better fighter, I think it was definitely Imavov.
Sure.
I think Cannonier had a chance going into the 5th round to survive the onslaught of Imavov and make it a fight and potentially come out with a majority decision. But the ref, Jason Herzog, I was onto this fucking guy before this fight even happened. I saw that horrible performance during the Weili Zhang title fight. I'm not letting this man live down his recent mistakes. So he's been on sort of a slide, in my opinion. He's starting to lose his timing a little bit with these stoppages. And so I'm going to keep critiquing Herzog when I see him fuck up. He's not going to have some shiny reputation as a ref anymore. We need to keep this guy accountable for his actions because he fucked up this finish and turn this main card from a really surprisingly good highlight reel of talent and knockouts to just an underwhelming affair. So he made this card bad again. Fuck Herzog. Do better next time, and let's do a 3-strike system for these refs, man. I'm fucking tired of this shit.
Yeah. Again, I don't think that the stoppage was like the most egregious. It is interesting that you bring up the Weili Zhang fight because he clearly could have stopped that fight 2 times. In the first round, definitely should have stopped it once you realize a fighter is literally not conscious anymore. And then the second round, she's pounding on her, could have stopped the fight there. And then he stops this one too early, right? So, one thing you can't really defend, or one thing that you can defend, is that Cannonier was definitely hurt and on skates for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the way he stopped it was really strange at the moment. If he would have went a little longer, probably would have been more justified. Earlier, I think would have still been bad, but not as bad as just the moment he picked was the worst. But the biggest problem with the stoppage is that it hurts Imavov more than anyone else, right? Because Imavov was supposed to get this knockout he was on his way to getting a very impressive knockout over Jared Cannonier. Now it's disputed and it's
tainted.
What's that? Yeah, tainted. Yes, that's a perfect word for it. So moving forward, it's like matching him up next. He's not gonna get. It just hurts his stock in the eyes of the promotion. He's not gonna get that title shot soon.
No. I think he does. He does deserve a good opponent in the top 5.
Yes,
for this performance.
And as far as our contest here, going head to head on picks, I hit 565 points as you take away your screen. What was your point total?
Oh, let me try to share it again. 1 second.
Yeah, go ahead. But who do you think? In chat, tell us who you think that Imavov should fight next.
I got 530 points to your 500.
So pretty damn close. I think I was 12th and you were 16th.
15th,
or I was 11th and you were 15th in the Rush Hour Tapology competition. But
we were pretty close, neck and neck. Because we actually ended up drawing in terms of the amounts.
Yes.
Right or wrong.
Okay, 8 out of 8. All my homies hate Herzog 100%. But yeah, who do you guys want to see Imavov fight next? Let me pull up the rankings really quick.
I think we should give him the loser of either Khamzat versus Whitaker or Izzy versus DDP. Because I know they're not going to give it to Strickland because they hate Strickland, even though he's a star, and they don't want to give him.
Isn't that who he called out after the fight?
Who? He called out. I think he called out Strickland again. Said he wants to have the rematch.
So you got Kyo.
Strickland's going to piece you up.
Again, I'm not a fan of matching up guys off of wins against guys off of losses, but you said he should get the loser of Whitaker and Khamzat?
Yeah. Okay. Or the loser of the title fight. One or the other. Because what else can you really do except give him another guy down the rankings, which I don't think would be good for his progress. I
think that middleweight is. I've been very critical of the middleweight division, and I think it's actually getting more interesting.
For sure, it's fun to watch.
You could do him versus Brendan Allen, Marvin Vettori, or I'll just lead off because he just beat Cannonier, who was 4 in the UFC's rankings, and they're going to change the rankings tomorrow. Strickland is 1, Adesanya 2, which is kind of weird coming off a loss. Whitaker 3, Cannonier 4, And then so from 5 down is Vittori, Allen, Imavov, 7. He's going to move up in the rankings after beating number 4. Costa, Hermanson, Hamza, Delidze, Baralio, who he just has a win over. Baralio, Pereira, Hernandez, Chris Curtis. Who do you want to see out of those names I just listed? You obviously
terms of below the top 5?
Yes.
Let me. I think Brendan Allen versus Imavov would be a hell of a fight. Oh Jesus Christ! Fuck off, Mom. So I think I would give it to Imavov versus Allen. I think that would be fun to
I think you're on the money there. Yeah, that's the fight to make, man. For sure. Actually, I think Brendan Allen. I think the booking wise, that probably keeps. That keeps the middleweight division. his plugs calling for payment. That keeps the division moving in the right direction. He says he keeps falling asleep. Look, we're about to get into Rizin right now, but if you need to sleep, bro, you probably should get some sleep. I don't know what you got going on tomorrow, but yeah, my man hasn't slept since Rizin, so crazy. Which we're gonna move into now. I think Allen versus Imavov is definitely the fight to make. So we're going to Rizin. There was much deliberation over the quality of this event last night. And it got pretty heated between Mr. Hank the Tank and I and Isha. So we'll get right into
No
this.
idea why. No idea why.
We go to the first fight of the card. Was a very quick knockout from. Let's see, I can't zoom in anymore. A man named Sho Patrick Usami knocks out a man named Kazuki Takodume. Good knockout for Sho Patrick. I believe it was an uppercut. And also, you watched the prelims?
Yes, the first 2 fights.
Okay, you watched the first 2, and then you weren't able to watch the rest of the card?
Nope, because I don't have money.
Okay, so it's funny that you would debate me over the quality of a card.
Well, I ended up getting.
You didn't even watch the fights.
I got the link from you later, so I was able to watch the last couple.
Gotcha.
Fights.
Then Genji Umeno. Sorry, Genji fights Mamori. I don't know. Sorry. This was the worst fight I've seen in a long time. To be fair to these fighters, it seemed like they'd matched up 2 MMA fighters, or at least one, in Mamori against the kickboxer, and Mamori kept shooting for takedowns, and actually got some takedowns.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
At one point, Genji had like this massive hematoma on his head. It was really weird. Yeah, and dude, the fight was just trash. This was like the worst fight I've seen in a long time. A terrible, terrible kickboxing match. Seemed like it went on forever. And again, at this point, I'd been watching fights for I think this card went on for like 4 or 5 hours, which is crazy to think about. It's 9 fights.
That's classic Rizin, though. That's what they do.
So terrible, terrible, terrible fight. We then get a fight between Noah Bay. Is that Black Panther? I don't think that is what. I don't know. Anyway, a man named Benoa. Oh, I get it. They have his name all fucked up when they announce him on Rizin. Black Panther fights Johnny Case, and probably one of the most boring fights I've seen all day.
Wasn't that bad?
I thought Johnny Case. Did you watch the fight?
I heard Isha's commentary.
So you didn't watch the fight, but you're saying it wasn't that bad of a fight.
He said it was pretty action packed.
It was not. He is definitely totally wrong. The fight was super boring. I thought Johnny Case won. He seemed to like out grapple Benoa. Benoa didn't really seem to get a lot of offense in general off, but he moves up to 3-3. A guy who they keep promoting and is always in a stinker of a fight. So weird to me that this guy, I thought this fight was punishment, right? They gave him a guy who clearly had more experience and would beat him, but he ends up getting the decision. And as Isha said, Johnny dropped him in round 1, then he gassed in the second round. Benoit
I think
squeezed up
that makes it sort of a spectacle of a fight because he proved the promotion wrong and got himself out of
That's a
Rizin jail.
that's not a bad point to make. Skate, they tried to punish him. Yeah, so that's what it seemed like because the guy just puts on these boring fights. And he did again. Benoit did again. Johnny shit the bed. Yeah, so how does he shit the bed in this boring ass fight and it's a good fight? See, that doesn't make any sense. But anyway, we move
He's a
up the
nice little
card.
comeback.
This guy was your lock, correct?
Yes, sir.
Kashuga. So
He had a Sean O'Malley level KO where he hit him with a great right hand, sent him down, thought that he won like Sean O'Malley always thinks that he won with a walk-off, and then he realized that his opponent was not down, was not finished, and then just hit him with a beautiful body shot that sent him crumbling. It was like, Sean O'Malley, the guy's down, and he's like, oh, one more punch.
So did you go back and watch the highlights of this one?
And put him out. Yeah, I did watch the highlights.
Okay, got it.
It was excellent.
So again, a quick knockout against a guy that was clearly overmatched. Given a Kazakh who's 14-3 heading into this, a guy who's 16-9-1. I mean, like, you can see this one coming from a mile away. But the Kazakh gets a good knockout, and I think it's actually good for Rizin to start getting these like Eastern Bloc guys in the promotion, right? Because they're gonna continue to deliver. And our next fight, Spike Carlisle fights a man named Kyung Pyo Kim. This fight was terrible. Spike Carlisle is a guy known for his like crazy pace and just like aggressiveness. I did not see that at all in this fight. Super strange to see him very conserved and not aggressive at all. And I think maybe Kyung Po was like waiting, or Kim, I guess you could say, was waiting for that crazy blitz from Spike Carlisle, and it never came. Which is why this fight sucked. To be fair, probably.
Well,
but
it got finished in the third round. It was pretty exciting.
So again, it's like, to see it, you didn't even see it.
I saw it through Isha's eyes. So
yeah, so you didn't even see it. So you don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, this fight was very, very, very boring. Very lackluster, especially because you expect Spike Carlisle to come in heavy and hard, and just like put it all out there. But credit to him for actually pacing himself. I think it was probably smarter because he was on a 3-fight skid leading up to this. But yeah, the fight was terrible. There was a few good grappling exchanges in the third round, and Spike Carlisle reversed it and gets a submission of his own. So actually, good credit to him in getting that submission win.
I would say that it's sort of like Sean Brady when he fights. Like, it's boring for a lot of it, and then he ends up finding the finish. So you got to give him credit where it's due. And Spike Carlisle did his thing. He didn't look really good for most of the fight, but then he found the backpack and he got the submission.
A fight in which you did not watch.
Yeah, but it had a finish, so I think that takes.
Yeah, I don't think that a finish constitutes a good fight. That does not make any sense. And just like I've swayed you in judging, thinking any fight that didn't go the way that you picked it to go is a robbery, I will sway you on this too. It's like, dude, just because a fight gets a finish does not mean it was a good fight. It can be a terrible fight, just like Kyoji Horiguchi versus Sergio Pettis, the first one. Fight was terrible. Fight was terrible until the finish. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that doesn't mean anything just because there was a finish. So yeah, boring, terrible fight. What's that?
It had a good moment. That's what I'll say. It's not a good
fight. I would agree with that 100%. So this is where the debate started, right? I hop over to Isha's chat and I'm like, dude, this card has sucked up to this point. And Isha's like, dude, what are you talking about? This is the most amazing card I've ever seen in my life. And I'm just like, dude, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And just like he's probably a little biased because he admittedly is a big fan of Rizin. I think I'm actually like more of a 1 mark, and I was excited by the entire 1 card, and some people said that card was boring. So fair credit to you, saying that this card had been good up to this point. I thought it had been terrible up to this point.
It's not terrible.
Skate, fair point. It wasn't terrible. You didn't watch the card, so I don't understand.
It got finishes, so I'm not going to call it terrible ever.
But again, just because a fight had 1 good moment, and overmatched prospects are getting wins against guys in the promotion on skids, and there was a terrible, terrible kickboxing match that should have never been booked. I don't think that constitutes a good card, whatever.
Well, let me say this: there are some TV shows that have rotten episodes for like a full half of the season, and you're like, "Oh my god, where the fuck is this show going? This sucks." And then it leads up to a crazy moment, and you're like, "Oh my god, all those horrible episodes now make sense because this is what it was all leading up to. It was building our anticipation for this moment, or trying to upset our expectations. So it was bad on purpose." And in a way, that's sort of what bad fights with good finishes is like.
Skate, fair point, but I truly think Kim's wrestling threat and defense was why Spike wanted to strike. Yeah, but he really didn't though. He didn't put on a pace, and he just was everybody. They both were staying at distance until they finally just started to grapple at the very end of the fight, which was again a super pedestrian and boring contest.
I have a question. Do you consider this card on the level of UFC 302?
That's. I mean, you had obviously more volume of fights, so therefore more chances for better outcomes. I think that as far as finishes, there was a few knockouts in the UFC card and a submission.
And no, not on UFC 302. It didn't have any knockouts.
302. Gosh, I'm trying to think. I can't even remember. Oh yeah. There was Kevin Holland getting the arm break. That Islam versus Dustin fight was great. This main event was not at all. But it was 3 rounds, which is really strange. I would say that card was better. Totally.
No way. Yeah, I can't agree on that.
I did not say verbatim. I said it was a great card. And fine, it's biased. So up to this point, we had an intermission, right? And the main card had not started yet. So yes, Isha did say it was great up to this point, which I totally disagree with. I thought it was boring. I was not entertained. Been watching fights for about 13 hours, and this was a slog to me. Mirko Cro Cop is a perfect example. Oh, Mir versus Cro Cop is a perfect example of a fight that sucked with a finish. You said it was trash. I disagree. It was trash. Yeah, you thought it was great. I have no idea why. Yeah, I do, because you're a Rizin super fan.
Yeah,
there shows that had awful episodes. Every episode and went nowhere, like The Office. Ooh.
I actually have a question. I have another question. Did Jay from Rush City think this card was trash?
From Rush Hour Fight Club?
Yes.
100%. Dude, Kim cut him and landed so many good shots. I don't know. I thought that cut was from the ropes. I don't think that Kim cut him at all.
Because I asked him, I was like, Jay, do you think this card's trash? And Jay was like, oh, well, you know my comment section, they get like this. Those filthy animals, they sometimes have their opinions on these cards.
That's a terrible impression. Another impression that Hank cannot do correctly.
Animals.
Pro Cup most overrated fighter of all time. Of all time? Jeez. Jay told me Idaho was being harsh. I talked to him today. Yeah, of course he did, because he's always just gonna. That's what he does. He's in sales. He's a mediator. You know what I'm saying? He's a good negotiator. So credit to him. But yes, I maintain that this fight card had been slogging, and it was very bad, especially for a card that us Americans have to watch super late at night. Yeah, the fight card up to this point, and this is where all the deliberation was at, right? Where the main part of the argument was at. Card sucked up to this point, man. It was not delivering, especially for a numbered Rizin event. Hell no. And I will
way worse Rizin cards than this. Way worse Rizin cards.
Okay, and I haven't because you have to understand too, because most Rizin cards that I've seen were New Year's Eve cards up until this year. I'd seen a couple of the landmark cards, which I actually thought were much better than this card up to this point in the card. He says,
dude, I've watched Rizin cards before the New Year's cards. They were absolute dog shit. 0 finishes, awful upsets. Nothing in the card made any sense. Not exciting at all. A bunch of old bags grappling each other. It can get way worse than this. So I'll tell you that. Keep watching Rizin and see what it gives you, because eventually it's going to be absolutely suck. Like, I'm telling you, this is the peak. It's only downhill from here. Like, I was a Rizin hater. I was the ultimate Rizin hater before this, and I know that there's worse.
And again, this is an example of a card that totally sucked up to this point. I will say I was excited for this. I don't sleep. It was the end of my crazy weekend, and it was a little. I would have admitted it was bad. Wait,
Yeah,
And
way worse. Way worse.
if it was, if it was shit, I would have admitted it was bad. I've seen way worse. That sucks that you guys actually stayed up to watch terrible Rizin cards.
Or
No
fights
BS.
and
I've been
also,
LOLing
I
at
want to
this time.
mention Idaho that
Thank you, Dylan.
I once saw Jay as a desk lady when I was working for Monsters Inc. And he was looking at me and was like, "I'm always watching, Hank. Always watching."
You can't compare New Year's Eve to the rest of the promotion. I love the pageantry and set my expectations accordingly. Dylan, they are the best. So literally, like, it's fucking hilarious because you're trying to defend it, but also going, "Hey, by the way, the promotion is generally trash half the time. So actually, this wasn't that bad of a Ryzen show." That's a terrible argument, you guys. I mean, how is that your guys' argument coming into this, dude? You're like, this card has been great. It's fucking amazing. And it's like, well, actually, Ryzen actually sucks half the time. And again, to be fair, you guys have seen way more Ryzen than I have.
Yeah,
I've only been paying attention to more of their events this year.
This is like JL, who's only seen 2 Jose Aldo fights, making his opinion about Jose Aldo.
No, it's not, because this is an event I paid to watch. I paid $20 to watch this. You did not.
There's the financial aspect of it.
I'm watching it at the very end of the night, right? And after watching fights literally all day and Friday, and for my eyes, this card had totally sucked and shit the bed up to this point. Especially when you have Spike Carlisle in a boring fight. Come on, man! Like a finish, yeah. But again, we just said that Mirko Krokop versus Mir, like a fight that was totally boring that had a finish. That doesn't mean that the fight was good by any means.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm going to expect for every.
And you even admitted that it had a good moment. You're not even arguing that the fight was good because you didn't watch the fight.
Yeah, but I equate moments to fights. If there's good moments, I'm like, okay, it's a good moment. Oh, a good fight, it's a good fight. Like that's what MMA cards are all about. Like you can have again a Zachary Reese of 5-7 KO, and then you can have a fight that goes 3 rounds, and you're like, okay, that was decent. And then you can have a bad fight that's like, oh god, fucking Namajunas versus Esparza 2, fuck this noise. And then you can have a finish like Sean Brady where it's just like, oh yeah, well at least he got a finish.
Right.
It's just there's just different levels of criticism to have depending on what the momentum is of each fight.
Sure, but again, it's like I actually paid to watch this at very late into the night.
Yeah, and I paid for nothing. I paid for
nothing. And it was not living up to my expectations up to this point. You know what I'm saying? I'm usually very entertained by Rizin.
Yeah, well, that's your lens going into it, and then I had my 100%. Lens, and everybody has different lenses.
Yeah, you didn't have a lens though because you didn't watch the card.
I know, but in my heart.
So then, after the intermission, we had Razabi Chat. I'm not a man with an R and an S in his last name. R in his first name, S in his last name. Eliav. We'll just call him Eliav. Fighting a man named Koji Takeda, who I thought totally wrongly was a kickboxer, right? So when we're having our little argument, it's getting very heated at this point in the night in the City Life chat. Koji Takeda gets submitted by Liev in the first round. And I'm like, dude, this is bullshit, man. Like, a Muslim, a Liev, anytime you got like a Liev guy fighting like a guy who I thought was a kickboxer, I'm like, dude, obviously he's gonna get choked out.
He was not.
And then Isha corrected me and said, hey, no, this guy is a grappler through and through. I think I've actually seen one of his fights. Isha, who's the guy from Brazil that has a Japanese name? Not Satoshi Ishii, but there's another guy who kind of looks like Koji Takeda. I believe he fought in the last Landmark or Trigger card. Again, maybe I haven't seen Koji Takeda, but nonetheless, Liev gets a submission win.
Did what he had to do.
You then had this guy, Kowalkits, fighting Mickey Ueda. Dude, I'm fucking up these names. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Isha said that there's like some weird like KSW linkage to this fight. Are you hip to that at all?
I mean, it looks like one of them's from Poland, given his name and the flag. So maybe he was a KSW athlete who found his way into Rizin, or maybe it was some sort of deal. I don't know.
Yeah, there was some sort of like weird promotional deal. I don't know what the fuck it was, but he gets another quick submission win.
And that's nice.
You,
That's nice.
you then had Clever Koki fighting Juan Archuleta.
I mean, look at all these first round finishes. It's starting to look like a Rizin card.
Yeah, for sure. And again, the debate was not over whether the second half of the card was good or not.
But I'd also argue that you don't exactly have first round finishes for every fight in a Rizin card for it to be a good card. Because you can have that perspective for, okay, this is bad for Rizin, but in terms of is this bad for an MMA card, I'd say no, because there are so many UFC cards that have 0 finishes.
So again, the debate isn't about. I mean, it's like you're using, and again, you didn't watch the card, so it's like this is like after the intermission. So
no, but I'm a lawyer who didn't see the murder, but I did collect the evidence.
But again, we're talking about before the intermission. I thought the card was trash. Like again, it's like the cards definitely started picking up after the intermission. Yeah. You had 3 first round submissions in a row, ending with Clever Koki submitting Juan Archuleta with a heel hook, which is really interesting because like heel hooks never work outside of Japan. Have you noticed this?
They only work in regional promotions.
Okay. Last thing on Koji, he once had an elbow suplex soccer kick combo. That sounds fucking awesome. What did he say? The Polish guy had a KSW contract pending on the win. Got you. Okay, that's dope. So Clever Koki gets a submission over Juan Archuleta very quickly. I think Juan's biggest. Some people in the chat were saying his biggest mistake was turning the wrong way in the heel hook, and I guess that's what led to his demise. And he tapped real quick. Did you watch any of these fights in the main event or the co-main and main?
I watched Earp's promo afterwards, and he was very passionate, and I think he had the crowd in the palm of his hand because they were making noise for him as a Japanese crowd. So I was really impressed with Earp's work afterwards. And who's he supposed to be facing afterwards? Did he have a face-off with somebody?
Oh yeah, that's right. So during the intermission, they announced Kaya Sakura is going to the UFC. Then they announced that Manny Pacquiao is going to fight. Oh
Jesus Christ!
They announced he's going to fight Suzuki. Chikiro Suzuki, but then weirdly after that face off, Suzuki walks up to the cage the ring, and faces off with Clever, and there was like a really heated exchange between him and Clever, and I was like, dude, Suzuki does not give a fuck about fighting Manny Pacquiao in a boxing match.
Yeah, what the hell are we booking here?
And it's just like with Musamechi getting a win and then facing off with Cade, who just had a win in an MMA fight. Now he's gonna face off with him.
It's on fucking acid, dude.
It's promotional malpractice.
I could sue.
Dude, Suzuki is defending his King of Kings kickboxing title. Oh, that was the other belt that he had. His MMA title and a boxing match with Manny before 2025. Wow, that's pretty impressive, dude. I like Suzuki.
Suzuki's a badass.
He had a face-off with Suzuki, which is very strange. You then move to the main event.
I'd say this is bad. This was a pretty bad fight. I will admit.
Okay. So you actually did, but you did watch it, right?
I did watch this all the way through.
Okay. Yeah. So Kyoji Horiguchi defeats Sergio Pettis. And again, I was optimistic coming into this fight, but I did when I previewed it. I said I worried that it could have been a boring match. It turned out to not be very good. I think the biggest, I don't know. I did say in the chat, I was like, dude, I'm kind of glad this wasn't 5 rounds because 2 more rounds of this, shit.
Although it did pick up. It picked up towards the end. Mm-hmm. So
the third round was good for sure. And Isha says as much right there. Yeah, it was good. They started going at it a little bit more. And there were some submission attempts, but ultimately Gooch gets the win. What do you think about the fight?
Yeah, I think that was mostly Horiguchi's world the first 2 rounds, and Sergio really didn't have any answers for his offense, and hard for him to find his timing until the 3rd round. And then he started pulling sort of a Marlon Cheeto Vera and being like, okay, now I'm starting to find my shots here and there. Oh, yeah, I dropped you. All right, I'm the man. If this went 2 more rounds, O'Malley, I would have finished you, If there were no limit on the rounds, I would have beaten you, Sean.
Just like a Diaz, bro.
Yeah. Hey, what up? I would have finished that.
Instead, it was a Pettis, bro.
If it was 6th round, I'm not surprised, motherfucker, that this bout sucked. You guys suck. And
Also, I believe
Jorge
when Pettis and
Masvidal
Horiguchi
kicked
faced
off.
off. Also,
What?
believe when Pettis and Horiguchi faced off in the last Rizin show, I believe you said you thought it was Anthony.
Yes, I did think it was.
It's hilarious.
It-
But yeah,
it's like Bella Magic. They switch out every once in a while.
okay,
It's like
yeah,
one of
no,
those
because one's
magic
clearly
tricks.
bigger than the other. But
I don't know.
yeah, so what I said is, the first fight was in Bellator, second fight in Rizin. Where does the third fight take place, in your opinion? Where do you want to see it take place? One, PFL, the UFC. I mean, where's the next one taking place? Different rule set.
I think it could take place at the bottom of the ocean because I don't want to see either of these guys ever fight again. So, you know what? I don't know. Maybe put him against one of them against Manny Pacquiao. Make it a boxing fight. At least something to get some starts.
No. Okay, here's what you do. You have Pacquiao box Kyoji for one round, and then you have
Box Pettis for
Sergio the next round. Yeah. So you just like,
at the end.
yeah, okay, all right, 3.
Trifecta of hell.
He says Rizin for the 125-pound title. I believe that there's already a champ at 125, right? That's why this one wasn't. But yeah, all jokes aside, I mean, I guess you do the third fight, right?
And then I'd have Kai Asakura have a surprise appearance at the very end, and then knock Manny's lights out, and then disappear and go to the UFC. Sounds good. Sounds like classic wrestling booking to me. Surprise appearance from Kane. Let's go.
So what I said is, the next pay-per-view.
Anyway,
he says, as much as I want to see it, they are gonna do it. Horiguchi is the channel.
Apparently Dylan has confessed to a mass murder live on stream. He just can't take it anymore and wants to unleash his anger onto the world.
He says he's the channel. What? You mean the champ? He's the one. Why the fuck wasn't this for the belt then? That makes no sense, bro.
See, this card was trash. Idaho was right. He was always right.
After all that?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
This one aspect that totally ruined the card.
Fucking A, dude.
It's all right. I'm killing Idaho right now. Physically killing him.
Oh, that's hilarious. See, again, it's like you always try to argue with me, and I'll change your mind, man. It's like, dude, just because there was a couple of finishes, and again, the main event didn't deliver, and you flip that with 302. Like, the whole card sucked pretty much until the main event, which saved the whole card.
Meanwhile, this card had finishes until the main event, which was rotten. So it's literally a bizarro card.
So again, I thought that the main card was just fine. The before the intermission was trash, and the main event again. But it was I had the expectations that it would go like this, coming into it, especially knowing it was.
Why were you disappointed then?
Because the card sucked and it was late.
Yeah, but if you
16 hours.
But if you expected it to be, then why were you angry about it? If you should have had high expectations going into it, and then your anger would be justified. But you already had low expectations, so it's like watching
just specifically for the main event. I had low expectations.
Right.
So Horiguchi. Okay, so he says that Pettis couldn't make 125, but wanted this fight as a PFL had no offers for him. So Horiguchi accepted the fight at 135 with no belt on the line. Got it. So my booking is the next Rizin show. You get Fedor to come back and fight Hongman Choi.
Okay.
Even
though he had that beautiful retirement with every single one of his previous opponents being around him and hugging and kissing and being one of the great retirements.
That was pretty amazing, not gonna lie.
So you're gonna ruin all that?
100%.
Okay, great. That's an opinion.
You get Rampage Jackson to box Shannon Briggs. Sorry.
But we need him to expose John Jones first. He needs to.
No. In his post-fight interview after he wins, or loses,
he just spills the beans.
Yeah, he just spills the beans. Right? Okay. This is Rizin 50. This is Rizin 50. Okay. So no. We already know that Rampage is going to come in like a can and take a dive. We already saw that. I don't want to see that. So you guys are letting me finish. I'm booking Rizin 50 right now. Okay, this is serious. Great. Fedor versus Hongman Choi. Let's just do a grappling match, right?
Yeah, great.
Uh,
Then it doesn't count.
That's true. Hangman Choi will get fucked up. Let's do a boxing match, okay?
Uh-huh.
Shannon Briggs versus Rampage Jackson in a boxing match. Okay.
Lovely.
And then after the fight, Rampage exposes John Jones.
John
Okay?
Jones
You
for
then
murdering
get
everybody and putting him in the bottom
you
of the
then
ocean.
get Minowa Man. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Are you still with me? You know who Minowa Man is?
Yeah.
Minowa Man is the guy famous for fighting all those freak show fights, right? Back in the day.
Great. Yeah. Classic.
Minowa Man's gonna come back
Uh-huh.
and he's gonna fight Francis Ngannou.
For the money. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're
PFL
gonna get
sponsored
Yeah,
fight,
we're gonna get Francis back. You know, he had a tragedy recently, so we're gonna get him a win. But we're gonna
right?
give him Minowa Man, a guy known for fighting.
Freak shows.
Yes, 100%. So he's gonna fight Francis Ngannou.
You're a sadist. You're a sadist. With this.
And then you get, Deontay Wilder is gonna fight. He's gonna box Badr Hari. Okay.
Okay.
In the co-main event. All right. Or sorry, in the main event or in the featured fight. He's gonna box Badr Hari. And then we'll have Manny Pacquiao box Suzuki. But then like halfway through the card, we'll have him like knock out Suzuki. Well, it'll be a fixed fight, right? It'll be totally staged. We'll have him knock him out. Actually, how about like really quickly? We'll have him knock out Suzuki. Like bam.
So pull a bit of a Lawler versus a Price, huh? Perfect.
Right.
Perfect
Or Floyd versus Tenshin
package. Yeah.
we'll then have him bam, knock him out quick, right? Tenshin Nasukawa was in the crowd, right? Yeah. Tenshin Nasukawa somehow all of a sudden has boxing gloves on immediately, right?
Boxing.
And he boxes Manny Pacquiao, right? We get a boxing match.
If there's one thing I know Rizin for being, it's being a boxing promotion.
Yeah, no. There's a lot of boxing matches on this card,
totally.
For
sure.
Mm-hmm. So we then have him box Manny Pacquiao. And then in the main event, you have Kyoji Horiguchi defend the 125 title against Sergio Pettis, and all roads come to a head. I think this is card of the century. Best fucking card you've ever seen in your entire life. Yeah, look, Isha says, I would pay $100 for this card. Me too. And I would not complain a single moment of it. Be the best Rizin card. Card of the century, really. I mean,
I'd contemplate suicide before watching the card. I'd be on the ledge before it started. Okay. I wouldn't jump.
So you don't like my booking of my dream booking of this card?
Here lies Idaho.
Hanks's trash booking.
Oh, that wasn't me. I think that was you typing it while you were explaining it. I think you did in your sleep. Here lies Idaho's hopes and dreams. What a baby. That's what I'd say as Mr. Krabs looking at the grave. But you know what? I like the creativity. So I'll give you an A for effort.
Thank you.
Yeah. Excellent.
But yeah. I don't know what the fuck.
Buy it, and Isha would single-handedly save the company with his money.
Well, you wouldn't buy it, and then you would watch Isha's reaction, and you would say it was the best card you ever seen.
I know, and it would be good promotion for it.
100%.
That's my
so yeah, rematch him, I guess, or don't. Who cares? Been a long show. Been a longer weekend of fights.
What have we done?
Do you have anything else? I swayed Hank's opinion, and I beat him in the Tapology pick. So
this is a win for Idaho.
2 wins for Idaho.
Pay-per-views, I always win out. I always come out on top.
Always win, brother. I mean, do you have anything else to say before we let the people go?
I'm not looking forward to Tyra versus Perez.
I am.
Maybe the fight, but not the card. And it's gonna be a weekend. It's gonna be another MMA weekend. I'm waiting for Conor McGregor to come out of his dressing room all coked up and like veins in every single part of his body, and then Chandler to bring his kids to the front row, and then Conor McGregor puts him out cold in front of his children.
Gosh, I hope not.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah, and I guess that fight's still on, though there was talk of it not being.
In all of our minds, it is. Yes, in our hearts.
Well, yeah. So it was a crazy weekend. Lots of fights. We'll give you guys at least 4 hours, damn near, of podcasting every week. This is a longer show. We're getting our shows down a little bit. So give us a like, subscribe to the channel. We'll give you guys a preview of all of the fights. upcoming this next weekend. I think I killed Hank's energy with that booking of the last of Rizin 50. I apologize, my friend.
I
But,
mean, it's the closest thing I've come to being on drugs in my life.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
Really
Oh,
like,
I thought long and hard about this.
it was in a daze. Yeah,
This is an idea I came up with at 4 a.m. So
great. It shows. It shows.
hell yeah, I fucks with that, AJ. Thank you, man. Thank you for your support. And yeah, man, that's about it. Someday we'll do our draft show. We're both very busy in our lives. I'm going to be going on a trip soon, so I don't know how the show's going to play out. Then I'll have to do it from my phone, probably on the road.
My final exam is due on Thursday, but I should be available for Friday if I pick up the pace.
Gotcha. Tremendous. Just like Joey Diaz.
Wonderful,
Anyway,
wonderful.
that's it, guys. We don't got nothing else for you. We're getting the fuck out of here, man.
You have escaped the war zone for now.
For now.
Oh.